starting lineups. First, for the Pacers, George Hill at the 1, Paul George at the 2, and starting 7'2", 1-2 Johnson in the game. Another big man on a touchdown. What a hitter. Danny Green heads west and for the Heat, Chalmers and G. William are the guards. And playing at the 5, the LA versatile 6'11" star big man, able to score inside and out, Chris Bosh. That's LeBron James. And it's his The
last year, LeBron said that he's at his peak as a player, both physically and spiritually. You can see it in his eyes, just so confident. Even when things aren't going well, he now has the ability to make his way through that and continue to play and finish the game. They're close, but I didn't think he got on balance quickly enough. And it's hard to draw charges as quick as players are at this level. That's not an easy bit of work there.
George faces the Ramsey. Back to George. Takes for 3. And grabbing on this. It's back to Ranger. But that's the arc. Still looking for that first bucket. Outside of George. Indiana moving it around. A 3 from Hill. And this should have been crossed. Hill's got the beam going here. It's fantastic for the Pacers. Well, when you think about the level that LeBron is playing at right now, but you think he still has room to improve his game?
I think it's just a matter of his experience and getting in the choosing spots. I think his skill set is fantastic. And it's just a matter of staying the course. I don't see much improvement there. He's good shooter from the free thing inside behind the drive, makes his free throw, passes the ball, rebound, defend. He wants to be in that 50, 40, 90 club on his shooting percentages. I think he'll make it happen.
I know he's still working on deflects the pass. Passes it to George. It's Hill on the wing. Back to George. A free ball. And it's 15 by Wade. Here's Hassel. There's some information for us, Doris.
Well, I had a chance to talk to the head coach, Frank Vogel. We talked about the strategy as opposed to key later. He said, Wade can score though when he gets into the rhythm. So our job is going to be preventing from getting into that rhythm in the first place. Because if we can't do that, the points will just pile up. Most opponents are completely aware of that, guys.
And that's story was West from the line, shot off the foul. He had a nice low look right there. George has got his first 3 points in the game.
You know, Frank Vogel was one of the youngest head coaches in the NBA and in college in Kentucky. He pestered the coaches relentlessly until he gave him a role as a student manager for the Wildcats. And that determination and resolve has served him well as he's worked himself into an outstanding head coach in the NBA. That's exactly what you want coming off the steal. Get into transition, find an easy basket. Yes, sir. The ideal fast break opportunity there.
And it's Paul George with the foul. That is his first foul of the game. And a little over 2.5 minutes long in the first.
He was on that pass in the flash. You read it, reacted, and then picked it up.
And here's the display. Chalmers leads the way. And Hill with the ball. And he's able to get it back. And Chalmers kicks the way over Hill. Miami never hit on that time either.
Kind of a shaky first few minutes. Got 5 field goal attempts, only 1 made.
And for Buffalo, is equal for 10 years in the NBA. Coaching turnover moved from the interim head coaching position in 2011. He grabbed the reins and he went back.
The results speak for themselves. The team's responded to it. The organization has shown its faith with Coach Vogel, giving him an extension. And he led that club to the deep playoff run a year ago. 1 game from the finals.
A nice shot by George.
Now, they're really doing a nice job of stringing together solid possessions and building that lead up. That's the key, Steve. They'll stay in control of this game if they can just avoid any calls going forward.
Now, here's Valier. Shot to stop the run. No good from LeBron.
A lot of people have thought that Pacers would take off for Miami last year, but Indiana made sure that was going to be the case. What a series of the Pacers using their size and strength. Miami down low. And he were able to pull it out, but boy, was that a tough series.
And some changes here for the Pacers. Chris Copeland comes in for David West. Matt Stevenson subbed in for Paul George. And Copeland gets to Watson. Copeland ranges it outside. And once again, off the mark by Indiana. You give a touch back at the Eastern Conference Finals into Game 7 where Miami ran away with the game.
Harus ngasih bang teman.
Vincent down in San Antonio by the finals.
You know, I was thinking a little bit about two former ABA teams leaving in the NBA Finals, but the Heat managed to steal the game and won, and I thought that proved to be the difference in the end. That was a game the Pacers had and didn't squeeze. The way these two teams are
Wah.
these teams
Oh, datang ni makin dalam
in the future. I think that's great for the league because they don't need us in regular games or the playoffs. It's always been a battle the last couple of years.
Nice rivalry developing between those two.
You're right. The look was really good.
Here's Cole. He made a shot from Watson. Left three from the three. No good.
malas pa si Indo.
Here's Indiana. This one now up to 13-2. Granger with the ball. Picked up by Battier. Watson gets to Granger. Brooklyn. From deep. Ray Allen grabs the board.
Well, it was a little bit of a surprise, guys, going into last season when Ray Allen signed the contract with the Heat. He took that money when the Celtics offered. And no question about it, there was some anger from his former teammates in Boston when he left.
In part for Ray Allen, I don't think joining the Heat was just about jumping on a winning bandwagon. I think there'll be some issues for him in Boston.
Well, there were a lot of rumors that he and Rajon Rondo didn't quite get along. Allen wanted maybe a bigger role offensively. In fact, his minutes went down last season with the Heat, but he clearly fit in well. Came off the bench and really fit nicely with that shooting ability next to LeBron and Wade.
And here is LeBron. Following Danny Granger's three.
They were close, but I didn't think he got on balance quickly. It's hard to draw charges as quick as players are at this level. That's not an easy bit of work there. One of the great shooters in the history of the game. I mean, Ray Allen is just amazing with that deep range, incredible accuracy, and he can also put the ball in the net a little bit once or twice, pull up jump shots, get to the foul line. Allen's just one of the most consistent scorers we've had in the game for a long time. And he can work that motion for so long. It's automatic. I mean, it's something you do in the sleep. You don't even think about the situation or the defender. He eyes his target and lets him fly.
And here's LeBron. Following Danny Granger's three. To the paint. About 7 seconds separating the shot game clocks. Copeland is to Stevenson. Impacted by Elliott.
Really good performance so far on the word from this ball. Boy, I like the way they've done a great job carving out space under the basket and the shot has gone up. Pretty bad defense letting the offense get breaks to the rim, but smart play to foul once he was there. But you know what's going to happen is they send a message right there. Nothing easy inside.
That one misses. And here is Stone. Hasn't scored yet. That's his first foul. 7 seconds left in the first quarter of the game. The feet of Oakland. And Shirley with the line.
That Boston there, because as soon as that pass came out of the post, he was on.
And we welcome you back to more NBA action. Players will be hydrated. Plenty of Gatorade to help them get their job done tonight. All right, we'll take a look now at the points that have been generated so far as one breakdown for the Pacers.
Boy, the three-point shot has really been dropping for him early on. Well, the other thing I like is defensively, they're causing turnovers, and that's allowing them to get into transition.
And let's now go to the sideline and get you over to Doris Burke. Doris?
Well, gentlemen, despite what you might have heard from the talking heads, it was another great season for D-Wade. Last season, leading all shooting guards in player efficiency rating. A natural selection, he's just crazy with playing without the ball. Coach Eric Spoelstra said, quote, the evolution of his game has been stark in terms of added weapons and dimensions over the years.
What happened?
Our game has allowed that to happen. His movement and coming off the ball tripled what it used to be. That's what I understand. And I feel of how to get mom on the ball rushing in his hands. He's a great always find a way.
Thanks, Doris.
This is great. Three-pointers going down quickly at both ends. Yeah, it took them no time to answer back on that possession.
Watson for three. No good. And Miami the other way.
Well, the Pacers wanted to grab got the attention of the league with their postseason play. They certainly did that. They marched through the first two rounds, knocking off the Hawks and the Nets. And well, remember, they were a game away from the NBA Finals.
Now Watson, from the next play from Cole. Watson's shot is good.
That is not enough. They do better than that defensively. They do no coverage.
Ito ba?
Defense is not good for the defense.
Indiana making some changes. David Lashley's checked in for Stroke. Paul George comes in for Bristol.
Three times
John
from
Fields subbed in for C.J. Watson. Now, here is Battier. Heading for his first base gets here this one. Ultimately, the Pacers would fall to the Heat, but they put them to the test. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They gained respect league-wide for the one, and they had no one. 7 games, Clark, you saw them all, which a lot of folks didn't see coming.
I know that's the case, and yet the way the Pacers showed such grit in that series, it indicates they can compete with anybody. And you have a defensive anchor like they do in Roy Hill, they got a chance.
Ay! Nakpangin.
Well, as they continue to dominate, you wonder just how much higher this league might get. I think it really could get out of hand. You can credit their defense just as much as their offense for that.
Pasa mo. Na.
Knocks it loose. And that'll be Miami as it comes out on 3, retaining possession.
Well, you look at Paul George, my man, PG 24, young swing man out of Fresno State. Terrific career last season, was the most improved player last season and a first-time NBA All-Star. Consider how young he is, just turned 23. And he's got the potential to win plenty more All-Star games. And I think he could also be a defensive player of the year sometime in his career.
Here's Hill. They lead by 20. It's the most we've seen. To the inside. It's stolen.
That is one of the more difficult passes today. He had a very narrow gap to squeeze into it, and he couldn't get it done.
The shot for run. Out of bounds, Indiana takes possession.
Mati rin.
Indiana leading by 20. On the wing, George. Okay, triple. And for Paul George, the 10th pick back in 2010. What a terrific find for the Pacers.
Well, he was already a good player, but I think the injury to Danny Granger last season created the opportunity for George to really emerge as an
Sige,
all-star.
Papa.
Inside and out, excellent defensive player, has a chance to be really special.
And the Eagles and changes. Chris Bosh is checked in for Hudson. O'Brien comes in for Shane Daddy. And Chalmers in for Norris Cole. Good drive by LeBron. And the shot is good.
I love when he takes the ball inside. That's when he seems to really get on the roll.
So the Pacers call timeout, their first of the game. Grado, he's checked in for LeBron. Pacers have gone 4 hits so far here in the second quarter. Outside, Stevenson, a 3 from George. Gets it to go. George has got 9.
All these open threes they're giving up have really been the driving force of this run. I agree, guys. And the points got up in a hurry when you start giving up easy looks from long range.
Wade for 3. And out of bounds as the Pacers gain possession. Now let's go to Norris Burke. Norris.
Guys, as you know, the Miami Heat try to keep the plays they run as simple as they can and rely on their talent and teamwork to win them games. Well, playing like that can present its own kind of problems. Coach Foster said, the challenge is not getting bored in simplicity. Simple as what works, though, as evidenced by their back-to-back titles, guys.
Well, Norris, sometimes it makes sense to keep it simple. Thanks. Guys, we'll be on late. Down low. Norris got in there. James it as he's gone. Takes out for a 3-point play. That one on George.
Oh, I love it. Active hands on the steal, active feet on the fast break.
And front power on the dunk.
Yes, this is just too close to the game. Giving the ball up like that, and then failing to get back in transition.
Give it the pass to George. And the ball off the mark. The Heat trail by 18.
Oh, when you have the best record in the league, you're going to be the most dominant, one of the most dominant teams at home. The Heat just destroyed people down in Miami and only Denver Nuggets have more wins at home than the Heat did.
That doesn't go either for Jordan.
But a poor shooting performance starting today. And luckily for that bottom of his teammates, he come through. You know, typically, guys, he has the body control to finish when he's in that tight. I'm not sure what happened there.
Hill gets to Jordan. On the arc. They get it back. This is to Jordan. That's to Hill. Takes a three. And that one's good. Hill's got 8 points.
You know, they got to make him earn those threes. You play off of him, and he's automatic from that distance.
And how crazy is that for the league to win as many games as they did last season, but still be second in the league? Still far and away number one all in the East.
So, yeah, the Knicks were the closest to the team in the East, but they still had 6 fewer wins at home than Miami. But the Heat really just did what they had to do to put themselves in position to go on to their second NBA title overall.
And that one's good. 10 points for him.
You know, something we're seeing less and less of these days, that little finger roll.
Here's Chalmers. Benjamin Young. On that side. And that comes off the assist by Howard Chalmers. Chalmers has got 2 assists in the game. Back to Hibbert. Just on the clock. And stolen by And now, brought to you by Sprint. It's there's the Sprint Halftime Report, presented by Sprint. Now it's been one side of the fair so far in the first 2 quarters, but there's plenty of time to come back.
Now for the Heat, they really struggled against Hill. He's got 10 points and 2 rejections. He's knocking down threes as effectively as 2, and that's saying something. Yeah, because he's been good all over the floor. So valuable to this offense.
Outside, George, pocket 6. Wanted by Indiana.
There's another opportunity, and everything's going right with these guys.
That doesn't go either for George.
In most games, he can knock it down from me. It just isn't right for him in this one. Tell you what, he's absolutely soared on for the finish. I think the last year, the alley-oop in the conference finals, he's been almost put his head on the rim. Air freight is a nickname we can dub LeBron James. I mean, he's an unstoppable force. He's an immovable object. Defensively, the strength, and the mobility. Now, someone surprised when he goes for a slam that difficult.
Yeah, but still, you know what? Magnificent move to the rim.
I don't know what the score is. That's the play we're going to remember from this game. And that's one of his strengths, knocking down those long-range jumpers. You know, when Danny Green was out of injury last season, he saw that the Pacers team had become really going towards it with Corey Hitler's team. They became the new faces. Now, some would throw a fit about it. Green said he was proud of them and happy to take a lesser role. He just wants to get back out there.
Time on a call to the Heat. Kevin Granger is up. Stevie's considered a great point.
Well, you love his versatility, his ability to play both ends of the floor. Touch of Kevin who can go both their positions. Offensively, he can put on the floor, get to the rim. He's got really an excellent all-around player. Well, the effort was there, but he just couldn't quite find his way through track.
Back to Hibbert. Indiana moving it around. Wanted by Indiana.
Multiple possessions have been the story of the game, and even with the big lead, this team continues to be quicker to the ball. They just continue to splash home those threes. Eliminating the deep shot has to become priority number 1 for this defense. It really does. I mean, it's not possible to give up that many points behind the arc and pay the price in the end. You know, a lot has been said about the Pacers and their defense, but in addition to them being great with their positioning and skill, they're one of the toughest and most rugged teams to deal with, both mentally and physically. They really pride themselves on playing smash mouth basketball and don't hesitate to get into your airspace and get in your face.
The Heat trail by 18. Chalmers passed away. That's out of bounds. Indiana will retain possession. The Heat score. He's checked in for the Pacers. Watson comes in for George Hill. Not quite 2.5 minutes play here in the second half. And the basket by Chalmers. Like that, what you said, the Pacers took it in a few games last year. They took each other and put this line in each other's faces. But, Christy, you look back at all the great defensive teams in NBA history, and not a lot of them are amicable back.
It's true. I mean, this is a great defense, and sometimes you have to ruffle feathers and get through the spaces in terms of being tough and really defensively. I think the Pacers understood that. And those are not the kind of three-point opportunities you can give to shooters in the NBA. These guys are just too good.
You're exactly right. I'm telling you every time. Just like it's burning in here. Well, really the heart and soul of this Miami team in a lot of ways, Udonis Haslem. Born and raised in Miami. He played his entire decade-long career with the Heat, and just a tough, hard-working guy in the locker room leader.
That's off his run. So he misses both. And back to the end zone. The left the Florida Gators, broken it back to Providence, took them all, moved the end zone.
Florida, he had to lose a lot of weight before he was ready to play in the NBA. Went to Europe to play first. He's been the heart and soul of the Heat organization ever since.
Chris Anderson is checked in for Miami. From Chalmers. Rebounded by Coleman.
Boy, in the film session, they'll say that was a well-challenged shot.
Swollen my way. And here we go. Chalmers has got it. That's for a chance. And it's running around here.
Well, he's not the one going on in the first break. He always finishes strong.
Chalmers gets the whistle that time. That'll be his second foul of the game. George Hill's checked in for Indiana. The try by Green. Watson gets to Hill. Two-pointers off the mark. The Heat trail by 17. Chalmers gets to the ball. There's the ball by the official. They'll lock the rest of it. Following the goaltending play.
What a night so far for LeBron. 10 points. He's got a good on-the-ball defender, too. He's got a pair of skills.
He's hit some heads-up plays, but he's done a really nice job defensively.
Paul George is checked in for this game. LeBron passes to Chalmers. Feeds for Anderson. Gets rebounded by Indiana. Score's got his fifth rebound right now in the game. Here's Frazier. That's good. Frazier got 5 points in the quarter.
Even from a size standpoint, that is a mismatch that's going to be hard to overcome defensively.
A different look for Miami. Shane Manning is checked in for Bosch. And it's Norris Cole in for Mario Chalmers. The dish to George. Here's the It's on LeBron James.
Well, it's not often you've had a player like Paul George who, as tall as he is, can play two guard. But when you do, you're going to see some really big numbers in rebounding from him. And that's what George does. He wants to average double-digit rebounds.
You mentioned LeBron, 6'8", he was drafted. He actually threw a 6'10" in his rookie season, Steve. So he's a young guy that's continuing to grow a lot before. And
Yeah, he made these 7-2 last year. I'll tell you though, he gives you power forward size and rebounding with guard skill. Easy to see why the Pacers are so excited about.
Does he remind you of anybody in particular?
Yeah, like Scottie Pippen, early in his career, maybe not quite as strong as Scottie, but a similar skill set. Good solid defense on the perimeter there, challenging the shot and not fouling. Even the best shooters can be bothered by his defense.
And the ball will be against George Hill. That is his first foul of the game.
Yeah, he had not established position.
I prefer the ref to whistle with a block when in doubt. I thought that was a good call.
Miami over there on that time either.
You look up and down the Pacers roster, and in every position they have size and a player that's willing to be physical, mix it up. You throw in a guy like Paul George, who's elite rebounder in his position. It's not hard to see why the Pacers were #1 in rebounding percentage last season.
I mentioned the Pacers. They do have size everywhere in the roster. It's not just numbers on a sheet with them. They don't use their height and weight to their advantage to work to their favor.
Yeah, the length at every position is impressive. Not just Hipper protecting the rim, but arms out on the wing. George Hill, the point, plays a lot bigger than the actual point. So this is a team that is very defensive.
Comes off the assist by Mario Chalmers.
I think they need to get much more disruptive defensively. They can't just keep allowing these easy passes.
I agree. They need more energy in the post, maybe some double teaming. They've got to get their defense in gear.
His finishes can be dazzling, especially from inside.
Well, you see the guy who's the height of some other big-time dunkers, and it always looks better. And he certainly makes up for the lack of height with that athleticism.
Yeah, his sleeping ability is off the charts, right?
Straight hits the hill. About 3 seconds between shot and game plan. Ranger, 4-3. Here's Cole. Pass to LeBron. Inside the box. Hard to make it in with the distance. Ranger from outside. No good in the last second attempt there. And here it is, the third quarter is done. Welcome back, Coach Boracchi starting up with what has been a one-sided show. And in case it goes the second night, check out the scoring breakdown for Indiana.
Guys, the passing we've seen from them has been tremendous. Very unselfish.
And they continue to knock down the long-range three-point shot as well.
And so he calls the foul on the shot clock, trip to the line to shoot two.
Coming off the title last year, you always wonder if this team will be relaxed a little bit. They usually won't admit to it, but Chris Bosh readily said it at times. His team had a difficult time lighting up that way.
Go back to the Boston. I think that is true for every team, Mark, that comes off a championship. They usually don't hit it like Boston.
Well, you know what? Once you've won it all, there is a bit of a relief when you know the plays and they settle over you. But I've always respected Bosh's candor. He's a guy who doesn't bite his tongue and he articulates what he feels. I think it's a lesson that they fought back in the final. That shows they eventually did recapture that fight.
The try by Hill. Back to Scola. Here's around the Ranger. Hill. Some nice passing here by Indiana. He dishes it to Ranger. Down to 5 on the shot clock. Batting into the steal. And now Chalmers running the floor all by himself. And it's going to the job.
Textbook example there of how to use defense to create offense.
Beautiful transition plan for the steal. All the way to the basket.
Wasting no time going from defense to offense.
It feels like they're starting to pick up the intensity as the game itself starts to get a little more tight in the post.
And George gets the Hill. Brings it from beyond the arc.
They're killing it with that three-point shot here in the second half.
Well, the defense fully stretched out trying to stop that shot, and still not able to get it done.
Yeah, he's a bomber. That's what I love about him. He's as good a three-point shooter as you'll see. And of course, that's a green light to let it fly. He's not doing that.
You know what else I like about this team? He'll do whatever it takes to help that team. You've seen him take some absolutely gut-wrenching charges. And a lot of other guys will simply avoid.
Well, it's the edge they've got in that area on the glass. It's played a big role in this game.
Yeah, they've got some strong guys, Steve. Guys that are strong and well put together, and they've used that strength to their advantage down low.
Pacers leading by 18. He picks it to Ranger. Gives to Scola. This is the Watson. Sinks the triple.
I'm not sure who was supposed to pick him up, but somebody's going to get an earful from the coach for leaving him that. I mean, they got it on autopilot and they look totally dejected.
Boy, Edwards checked in for C.J. Watson. Indiana counted 3 of their 6 goals.
They had that done on the inbound.
You know, last season, George Hill, really for the first time, was handing the keys to the team as the starting point guard for the Pacers and played the most minutes of his career and responded with his best season yet.
Ray Allen is checked in for Dwayne Wade. Chalmers dishes the box. Back to Chalmers. Launches it. Gets it to go. No confusion defensively.
You know, he sent the deal little message at that point.
And going back to George Hill, great length and athleticism at the point guard position, defensive-minded guy. He really fits with a hard-nosed identity of this team. Number 16.
Yeah, I love George Hill. Offensively, he shoots with range, and he's able to slash and draw fouls. Excellent rebounder for the point guard position. You mentioned the length and the wingspan allows him to guard both ones and twos in the backcourt.
Certainly that shot well within his range.
Especially with the steady work. Positive factor for them as well.
The Heat making a switch here. Haslam's checked in. Ball range from the inbound. And Ray George with the three. George has had 15 points in just the second half. Here's Chalmers. And the ball will be against George Hill. That's foul number 2 for him. Well, just tuning in, welcome. We've got about 3.5 minutes gone here in the fourth quarter. Allen for 3. And again, Miami with the triple.
They can't seem to do anything to slow him down.
And this is a scoring for him. I mean, he's got it going on.
Hill gets to George. Three-pointer. It's out of bounds. The Heat will take it the other way. The Heat trail by 17. Chalmers pass to Bosch. And the foul there is on Royhager. That's his first foul. So it's Miami now. Allen for 3. And Royhager with the rebound. Hibbert's got rebound number 10 tonight with that last one.
But 8 rebound advantage like what they have now is always going to swing the score hard in that team's direction.
And that's certainly been the case today. Their rebounding has made a huge difference.
And so it's going to be a 3-second violation on the defense.
When Hibbert came into the league, as everybody assumed he'd be a project, and that's been active. Projects can pay off, and to have a player with his size and work ethic and skill is a huge payday for the Pacers.
David Lasky's checking for Indiana. George with the ball. Out over to Haslam. Back to George. Pocket forward. On deep. Can't hit. And it's Miami the other way. The quarterback did the correcting measurements. As a project for the team in taking over 17 picks back in 08. And drafted you were involved with Phoenix.
Well, we took Robin Lopez at 14 because he just had much better mobility, athletically, reach the shot. And Hibbert could eventually develop the kind of speed and lateral quickness that he's done. So, pretty impressive. They put all this work in and defied his critics.
The 3 from Hill. They get it back. That's Bishop David. Ranger. On by the line. Danny Ranger. The one penalty says we're away here. 14 points for Danny Ranger.
3-pointer and a half overall. So, he's having a nice game from outside.
Timeout call for the Heat. They're down by 19. 125 left to play in the final quarter. Left here in the fourth quarter. Allen for the 3, and it's sent back by George. And it's Ranger penetrating. There's a 5 for the two-handed dunk.
And that puts a cherry on top, so to speak. It's been a phenomenal showing for them.
All over the line. There's no doubt they've been the stronger team. That plus 10 rebound advantage tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, not to mention what it says on the scoreboard. I mean, they're really pushing around physically at this point.
His touch has disappeared on him this quarter. He just hasn't been able to get him on.
LeBron kicks to Haslam. And Danny Granger gets the whistle that time. That'll be his second foul of the game.
Tough break for the defense. He took the heat and drew the whistle.
Yep, but when you get there late, that's what happens.
There's the football. And again, LeBron missing. For Indiana, they've gone 7-15 before here in the fourth. 46-47%.
So you relish these sorts of road games where you come in and you get the job done.
In a long schedule with the kind of pressure of travel and tough performance throughout the season, it's always good when you play a game like they have here.
And it's going to be out of bounds for Pacers.
Dylan Hudson explained that to me. I guess he thought he had more room than he did, but he really lost his place on the court.
Three-pointer, Frazier. That's
Look how quickly their lead has grown over the course of the last few possessions.
Boy, they've really saved their best for last, haven't they?
LeBron, that's a two-pointer. And Haslam gets to Allen. Makes no mistake on the open jump shot. And here is Hill. And that'll be Indiana as it goes out of bounds. Pacers gives it to Ranger. And he's good on the free ball.
Bombing it today. How many more threes are we going to see from him?
Well, we've already seen plenty. The majority of his points have come on that shot.
Spiders, spiders.
Well, this is one of those three
Ayan.
Soyang Desierto, si Ranger, si George. Ranger Bourbon. Ah, pareho nga ni Ranger. Ako nga gagamit ng stay ko ano.
Sipol.
Yung gagamitin ko pa.
Starting five for our game. Here are tonight's starting lineups. First from the Lakers.
Tingnan ko nga po kung gaano ka-shooter si
Moving up to the West Central University this year and an extra 7-foot. Chris Keenan. And there's Nick Young. And it's Gasol at the power forwards position. And for the Clippers, CP3 is point with Porter down back. And inside the center, 6'11", the strong sprinting big man of Texas A&M, DeAndre Jordan. Then there's Jared Dillon, and it's Griffin in at the 4.
Well, Kobe's never been shy about shooting. Bucky would argue that he's a little too shot happy sometimes. But you want a guy who's stopping. You want a guy who's not afraid. He's going to fail and just come right back and fire away the next
Matulog pala si Kobe.
Sometimes you don't like to see guys pull up from three-point range on the break. But for him, with nobody on him, that's a pretty good shot.
And it's the view and blocked. And it's the Lakers on the break. Nash with it. Now Gardner's on deck. On deep three-point range. It's the Lakers from deep. And you talked about how he's role offensively for the Lakers. His formation last season was one of his most efficient scoring basketball.
It really was. You can see the turmoil that surrounds the Lakers. It was remarkable that Kobe was as easy and solid as he was. Staying focused from start to finish. He delivered the type of all-star performance that he always does. Very impressive.
He can come right back with the three of his own. It's no good. Now let's find out what head coach Mike D'Antoni had to say about Boris Burke. Boris?
I asked him how he was going to slow down Blake Griffin. And he told me any way we can. He went on to add that he didn't really have any one answer for Blake.
Fine,
He's
fine.
just a dynamic player. Adding this, he knows some highlight reels, but he can hurt you in a lot of other ways as well. Really, we just have to throw everything we can his way.
And that's scoring was. And that was a Los Angeles Kings position.
Well, coaching carousel for the Lakers last season, they made it only 5 games before firing Mike Brown. Then they decided to go in a new direction. Boy, they went through 3 different head coaches before all was said and done. They never really were able to gain that consistency they were looking for.
Shot is off. Some solid defense from Gasol. Griffin in the steal. And it passes the ball. He gives it to Griffin. Good ball moving here by the Clippers. And up the next to Jordan. Now Griffin inside. And back to Austin is fouled. He's over the line for one more. And back to the Lakers records last season. What do you think part of the main problems that holding back the lead with that title contender? That they thought they would, and a lot of people imagined they would.
Well, it's kind of like 3 or 4 shots. I don't know how number of issues that you might expect in these players to make sure but they know they score over how they should play. Really no true identity. They were a big team trying to be small. A team without a number of shooters trying to spread the floor. Older team trying to go up tempo, coaching change. There's a lot of moving parts. It makes it very difficult for everybody, I think. And he showed
It's good assessment. And there's a foul to go on. Sure it doesn't. That's his first foul. Los Angeles Lakers this year.
Wala yung shooting niya.
Clippers trail by 6. Redick from 3. That's good. You know, once you shoot, always a shooter.
J.J. Redick, one of the great marksmen of all time at deep. It's kept on rolling here in the NBA. He's got deep range on his three. He's shoots from anywhere, and also put the ball on the floor a couple times and create a shot inside.
And shot is right. Like you said, not only threes, but Steve A shot where he gave Redick a chance to set his stand and clear the loop. His shot form is just too consistent for him to miss. He's one of those players who works on that just so diligently. You don't know what kind of degree of success in the game.
you always want a player to have his head up and to be surveying the court, but not if that's going to be the result.
And Los Angeles, this is
Are you in the house? Are you in the house?
in for Gasol. Johnson comes in for Nick Young. And Steve Blake is subbed in for Curry. Johnson kicks to Barnes. Looks like free slide, but he recovers it. That's the Mullins. If Clippers rebound, left side Johnson. Has in the flush. Launches a three. Rebound by the Lakers. Here's Harbaugh. Pressure at the end of the break. And a breakdown here, guys. The hustle checks for the Lakers.
Boy, you have to admire their intensity in the paint defensively. I mean, really contesting and even blocking shots. Definitely a factor early.
I do too, and I think they're all
Big time, everybody.
in transition. They did a nice job of running the floor.
Lakers leading by 7. Blake kicks to Farley. And Phoenix in the lead, double digits.
They certainly didn't take advantage of the poor defense, but they can't count on them to continue missing.
No, that's for sure. Because this guy's too good a shooter to miss that floor consistently.
Jamal Crawford is the walker, quick 6'5" combo guard with a great ball handling and ability to stop and pop. He's going to get this shot and he's a terrific scorer from just about anywhere.
And Los Angeles guys shooting a mere 25% from the floor in this first quarter. And again, the kick out to Patterson. From past the out. The Clippers rebound. They shoot again. Okay. Lakers have gone 7-12 from the field here in the first quarter. This one for 3. Another 3 from Satsalanam. Blake's got 6. You mentioned the story of Crawford. His defense a little more suspect. So he's quick.
Right now.
He's never been a physical defender. And in certain matchups, he would struggle. He's out there for his storm, there's no question.
Here's Collison. Makes it on the glass. Collison stays first base.
I don't know who he's supposed to be running there, but clearly a mistake by the defense.
Back to Cleveland. Now the feed to Farmer. On the third.
Boy, from my angle, it looked like it was in the bottom of the net. Looked good from here.
Yeah, I thought so too, Coach.
This game is going to take a big swing. Parker, if he continues to put out like that, get up easy time.
Yeah, that's the kind of defense we expect to see in a strong exhibition game, not a close game like this.
And you just think Steve is a you know what?
Come on, I just like when he choose to just lay it up. I mean, he threw it down the fourth.
Now the Gasol stepped in for Chris Taylor. Mullins, he's started by Hill. Rebound by Johnson. Here's Blake. On three. And over to Tony Butler. Oh, we've seen some great shots in the first quarter. Now the second quarter, getting ready to start out.
One of the things that really jumps out at you about the Clippers is their depth. Really impressive. I mean, they've surrounded their stars with a bench that includes Jamal Crawford, who was second in the voting for Sixth Man of the Year. They've got a nice second unit.
Now let's send it to Boris on the side.
Well, gentlemen, it's not often you see a team trade for a coach, but the Clippers did just that to get Doc Rivers. The Clippers gave up a first-round pick to get him, but they believe he is their guy. He has a title on his coaching resume, and that played a big part in why the Clippers were willing to give up so much to just acquire Doc. Rivers felt it was time for a change, and gladly took for a team that can contend immediately. What was it on that?
No question, who can help? That's yours. And here we go. Ryan's got the fix for a chance. And it's Hill with the jam.
Well, you knew he'd win that race. Definitely. What you call early offense.
Here's the dish to Young. Here's the three. And that one's good. And now it's a 12-point Laker lead. And we talk about the bench of the Clippers last season. Also got a young man, Barnes and Woodham. Steve, some good defensive tenacity there too.
Yeah, they got an edge. The Barnes really gave them some toughness and some grit. I thought Crawford shooting gave them some balance where they had good offense to go to defense. And then Bledsoe slashing. They were a lot of fun to watch that unit.
Kobe's checked in for Wesley Johnson. Ball issues to Barnes. The ball. Playing this. That's good. Barnes inside the rim. He'll take his first basket of the game.
Well, he can really light it up from the perimeter attack.
And here's Kobe with three. Kobe on the Clippers line.
Without question, Kobe Bryant always going to be known as one of the great scorers in the history of the game. But for the kids watching at home, it is really worth reminding you of this. He can do it all. He's fundamentally sound in all aspects of the game. He can save, he rebounds, he passes. To be one of the true greats, you can't just focus on one thing. You need to be able to do a little bit of everything and do it all well.
Pass to Duncan. Takes it away. Rebound by Kobe. Lakers lead by 7. Gives him a good pass. Hill. And Motel is going to be the call. So they get the basket there anyway.
When you get to that one right inside, those can be tough to gauge sometimes.
And the crowd immediately letting the officials have it after that whistle.
A very unpopular call there.
And Dudley gets the ball. And the ball is good. The Lakers got 6 points in the game. Under 40 last season. All the time on shooting guards and rebounds, finishes.
Always looking up offensively. He's a very good defender too, especially on the ball. He's been all defense 9 times on that first team. 12 all defensive actions overall in his career. Tied with Kevin Garnett for the all-time league in both categories.
We're going to turn over. They've been going on that time. And the Lakers making a change here. Kingman's checked in. And here is Los Angeles now. They held a 12-point lead early. Coming past the Kobe. Will not go. This is off the front. Now the Clippers moving out. They take turns rolling up on his feet. Reddick's got 7 points in the game.
How about the delivery in the lane, just perfectly done.
For 3, Kobe. Again, missed by Kobe.
If he can improve on what's been a shaky day for him this far, they can stretch this lead out. You know, for so long the Clippers were on the bottom rung of the ladder in the West, almost for a chip in the conference. Changed dramatically the past few years, and now they're a team that's respected. It's been a while, kind of like he's in the Washington scene. Do you know what kind of attitude he has to be?
That's remarkable. Truly remarkable.
Just call it the agitator. Yeah, I like the nickname, boy. You may be onto something with that one.
And up against the Jordan. Nice passing here by Los Angeles. Good three. It was rebound. Here's Duncan. This is a three-point attempt.
Unfortunately, that's been the result of it over and over again. He's just been not fine at the bottom of the basket.
And here's Kobe from the arc. And now a 12-point Los Angeles lead. Like you said, the Clippers have really flipped the Western Conference upside down over the last few years. And right, they've done it with Tennessee style, with the series. But they've got now also the team.
Well, 35-7 record against the West was enough to secure them their division and advantage in the first round. Number 2, they laid out some of the big stars last season, so if they can stay healthy and really take advantage of what they have, this could be a lot of fun.
I wasn't sure if he'd be able to keep it up, but he had. Wow.
And let's catch up with our sideline reporter, Doris O'Neill.
Yes, guys, we stayed in last And to be on a list with people like Magic is beyond my wildest dreams. And it's incredibly special, humbling, and a dream to play with a lot of great players in my career. No surprise, fellas, giving credit to his teammates.
I like to focus on the team first. Thanks, Doris.
The plus 5 advantage for them in the rebounding category after that goal. It's very steady work they've been doing on the interior, no question. That's, I think, the main reason they have this lead.
Ball with the goal. Running down by bench. Ball, Richard DeVons. That is good. Barnes has got 7 points in the game. And Chris Paul picks up the foul. That's his first foul. Steve Blake's checked in for the Lakers. And stolen by the Lakers. Ball comes up the bench.
Textbook example there of how to use defense to create offense.
Beautiful transition play after the steal all the way to the bench.
Wasted no time going from defense to offense.
It feels like they're starting to pick up the intensity as the game itself starts to get a little more tight and close.
And here's Kobe from the other. This is Blake picking up the assist. And that's now 24 points for Kobe Bryant. Feeds to Barnes. Ball gets the draw. Back the ball on deep. And the rebound goes to foul Gasol. Gasol's got his 7th rebound in the game of the last one. And straight line. Now forwards moving it up. Ball's running outside Jordan. And here's Duggan for 3. No good trying to beat the buzzer. The clock runs out and we're headed to halftime. Lakers lead by
Now, let's see.
now, presented by Sprint.
What a great way to end
The Sprint report, presented by Sprint. A busy streets of Los Angeles, lighting up the night sky as we continue. You look at Kobe Bryant
He went off in the first 2 quarters, guys, as he's capable of doing. We might see some changes here in the defensive approach they use on him in the second half. They have to make some sort of change. I mean, they can't let him continue to play like he has been.
It's not the ball. He misses it to Duggan. The Clippers rebound. He passes it to Ray. He gives it to Jordan. He gets it to Ray. Don't go by the cover.
ugly start to this second half. They missed all 4 of their shot attempts.
Gasol visits the arm. Back to Gasol. And there's a call on DeAndre Jordan. That's his first 5. Looking at the steal.
Not a very good decision with that entry pass. Not with the defender right there. Outside somebody scored. Yeah, Quentin Bryant up there. That's how I would describe it. Every bucket counts double. Or at least it should count double. You know, DeAndre Jordan last year led the league in field goal percentage at 64%. That was percentage that was better than his free throw percentage. You want to get that flip. And hopefully Jordan will be able to do that.
Clippers trail on and the whistle blows and start that speed down. That'll be a second foul of the game. And the first players will put it over in here in the third. 3 on 3. Tatum passes to Gasol. Man, picks up the good score. Here's the back. Does it up. DeAndre Jordan Strange. His shooting motion at the line looks good, but Steve,
Ay,
just quickly, it was a good start.
Well, it's got to be mental, Kevin, because when you watch the Lakers shoot, it's not a beautiful stroke, but it's not broken by any means. I think it's all about finding a way to get comfortable in the free throw. Sometimes you don't reach that point.
Then kick out the young. Nice ball movement here by the Lakers. King addition to this ball. And they have 3 off the rocks. And the Lakers lead by 11.
Good look. We'll make that promotion.
For Los Angeles, they've gone 4 or 5 in the field since Thompson. Only slow strong offensively.
Everybody knows how brutal the Western Conference can be. And part of the reason the Lakers were able to make it to the playoffs is because they were above 500 in the West, which is pretty impressive.
2 minutes in the second half of play now. Ball gets to Griffin. This is the dunk. Fires the three.
It just doesn't look right to me. I was salty because something's off with this mechanic, at least as I look at it.
Back to Young. From deep three-point range. That one goes. Come. Young's got 8. I'll go back to the Lakers in the West. They led with a 20-24 record to against the Washington Capitals. That record falling right in line with the finished relations of the rest of the West.
Well, that record was really the big reason that they were able to catch up to Utah and end up passing them for the last playoff spot. Lakers fans might not be happy with how quickly they exited the postseason when they swept by the Spurs, but they did make a good push at the end of the season just to get in.
Just under 2.5 minutes into the third quarter now. One shot by Griffin, no good.
Well, it's the edge they've had in that area on the glass. That's a big role in this game.
Yeah, they've got some strong guys, Steve. Guys that are strong and well put together, and they've used that strength to their advantage now low.
For 3, Cody, and another 3 for the Lakers.
Well, they're going on this run. Ball movement is a big key.
Yeah, they have the defense on the run right now. They seem to have a purpose to get great movement, great spacing, and they're really lining up defensively.
And he hits it, and gets jacked down the play. 3-point possibility. They work the free throw.
You got to put bodies on the glass right there. They just are not getting it done on the board.
Yeah, they've got to do a much better job of going harder than that to the glass.
And there's the foul on Sure double. That's foul number 2 for him. Nash with pass to Young. Back to Nash. Kicks it to Cody. Fires from deep.
They were a step slow since the start of the quarter. The shooting really suffered.
The pass to Mullins. The ball. The feed to Doug. And a pretty assist by Paul. That one goes in. They got him this little while ago, and they just haven't been back. Outside, Kobe. And he can't answer back. The three-pointer offline.
Well, one thing that Byron Mullins had last year was a 3-point shot, and he wasn't shy at all about trying it out. And it was still a work in progress. Right now, I think it's part of this game.
From deep. Satsalanam Family. Outside, Kobe. The 3. Inside, this is the Cannon. Young, the 3. Rebounds, the Clippers take possession. Here's one. He's got 9. That's the Griffin. And this there with a chance to cut the lead to St. Louis. And the back of Hines, not the best percentage from outside, but he is a slot of victims.
Well, if he can get his three-point percentage a little higher, along with his decent rebounding, I think they found something in terms of a player who can be able to consistently play that comfort.
Well, he earned that one. Took the hit and still found a way to knock it down. He has fantastic body control. And the will to get it done. You like that focus.
Number 11 for St. James. Jamal Crawford, he's chasing for 11. And it's Carlson in for Chris Wall. The Clippers shoot their third free-throw shot of the game.
You know, when you look at the regular season, you got to set all sorts of records in your franchise, the winning streaks and all that. You win your division for the first time ever. Your first 50 win season, what do you pick for? Bouncing in the first round of the playoffs. It's still progress, though, man. I think the Clippers will use that for motivation this season.
That is his first foul of the game. 125 and that one's filled by Kobe.
Well, the number one priority for the defense when you face this guy is to keep him getting anywhere from the basket because he's just so strong as a finisher.
And also, he catches a lot of the fingers off balance and with his ability to pull up and drain shots off the back. It's a very effective steal in the back.
He said the Clippers got 2 zip on the Grizzlies, but all of a sudden they figure pushing home. The Steelers dropped 4 consecutive games, and just like that, brought the postseason.
Yeah, injuries play a part, like Griffin sprained his ankle, but why they make the moves in the offseason. And they're looking to pick up and make some improvement in their club.
This game is definitely the Lakers.
Only last year is today got a ton of effort out of them down low.
And they need every one of those rebounds. I think that's what's really fun here.
You know, it's the team. Lakers messing around. From on. Hill passes to Johnson. Curry is up and got the assist. Johnson's got 5.
And their solid play in the paint continues, guys.
Well, that's been the focus, Clark, as we watched. I mean, they gave one chance after another inside.
Los Angeles has made 2 of the previous 3 free throws in today's game. And that's coming up in the
Usually free throws are a formality for him. For the most part today, they have been. I didn't expect that he's going to be stepping up there.
Now here's Griffin. Poked away. It's going to be out of bounds. Los Angeles will retain possession. And as we have the word playoff, great game. Both teams playing well. Lakers ahead.
Malapit to, third quarter pa.
And the final period of play.
Ang sabi na.
Ha?
Points have been generated so far. Down for the Lakers.
Ay, pasa ko.
So far, they turned in a fantastic performance from the three-point line. It's been a weapon all game.
And another thing they're doing is really taking advantage of fast break opportunities, scoring some easy baskets.
That's it to Pete. Johnson outside. On the window. Outside. Kobe. From downtown. And out of bounds as the Clippers gain possession. How the Stars checked in for Chris Taylor. And here is Los Angeles now. They trail by 7. Crawford outside. Rebound the Lakers. 17 points was their biggest margin.
I think the lead they built here, guys, is in large part due to what they've done on the court.
Absolutely. I mean, they have a plus 10 advantage in rebounds. And they've been in total control of the backcourt. You know, the hope was that a change of scenery and a chance to run up and down the wings would be just what was needed to get Wesley Johnson going in the NBA. But it just didn't happen for him last season.
And for Russ Johnson, the 4th overall pick back in 2008, Syracuse, he just hasn't been able to break through.
Yeah, you wonder why, because he's got great size and athleticism, beautiful shooting stroke, and yet the shooting numbers just aren't there. I thought he would be better coming into this league. We'll see if he's able to develop and find a niche somewhere.
And there's Kobe with 3. Nice shot. Kobe's got 32 points.
What a top-notch game he's having. He's gotten him in the front, and it sure seems like he's going to keep him there, all by himself. It looks
Ay,
like.
ba't ko
He's
pinapasok
all
ko?
on the speed. Here's Blake. Curry has Jackson places that time. Jackson has got 3 assists in the game. Los Angeles calls timeout.
Well, last season, a lot of folks had the Lakers picked as the super team in the West, the team that would maybe challenge Miami and LeBron, but from the start, it just never was a cohesive group. Really had one of the most disappointing seasons in the Lakers history.
And let's get this update now from Jonas Burke, who's across the way on the sideline.
Kevin, Doc Rivers was just addressing the plan with his team. He was not happy with their play at this point, telling them we're getting out hustled, plain and simple. There's still time, but we've got to drive up our effort. Kevin, we'll see if they have enough to get it done.
Clark, as you said, the Lakers have a lot of lofty expectations put on them, but we never know what's going to happen when the team is put together. Instead, they just couldn't reach that bar that was set so high.
And the expectations were so high, Kevin, but injury issues cost them all season long. Nash, Howard, Powell, of course, Kobe with the Achilles at the end of the year. And that unit only started 7 games all season ago, so they never really grew over the ball in chemistry.
Well, he certainly is one of the running for the game, even though the money for this game.
Kobe goes in with his shot. That's it, for deep. That's good. Blake's got 5 points. points in the quarter.
Clark, they're really struggling guarding that three-point line.
And they're not making up for it with their own shots from deep either, Steve.
Crawford dishes the ball, releases, and the rebound goes to Paul Gasol. Gasol's got the glass covered here tonight, 11 boards for him. Keenan inside, tipped away, and stolen by Barnes. Griffin takes the Barnes. Gasol with the steal. Outside, Kobe. And we're about 3 minutes into the fourth quarter. For three, and again, Los Angeles.
Pagkiri ko muna ng pinupagkaris.
It's like a three-game shoot-around with all the threes there.
I don't know, Clark. I think there might be more defense in Warlock. I mean, this is kind of embarrassing.
Good look for the Clippers. Jerry Dudley's checked in for Barnes. And J.J. Redick has stepped in for Jamal Crawford. Redick passes the ball. Redick. Nice passing here by Los Angeles. Three-pointer. And it's Jerry Dudley with three. He can't hit the ball, especially from long range. Blake gives to Kobe. Goes up a three. It's hauled in by the Clippers. Jordan's got his fifth rebound in this one. And out of bounds as Los Angeles gains possession.
Jordan's born with that pass. I mean, that's just an awful turnover.
And here are the Lakers. They're on a 15-5 run. And Young gives to Kobe. Kobe on the triple. Clippers trail by 17. And Young picks him up defensively. Pass the ball. And the whistle blows in the backcourt violation.
Regardless, but when you turn the ball over, it makes it so much more difficult.
Well, it puts you in a tough spot, Steve. I mean, when you have points off turnovers and you know, the opposition takes one of your chances. We're already 8 points they've given up off turnovers this quarter.
Steve Nash checked in for Los Angeles. And out of bounds as Los Angeles gains possession. 1:49 left to play here in the fourth. Back to Young. He's a good over. He's trying no good. A bit short.
Well, I think the defense got lucky right there. I mean, he's going to make a lot more of those than he misses when he's got that much room.
Back. Now Washington is out of time.
This game is going to get even more out of hand unless they stop coughing the ball over.
Yeah, it's going to put a whole quarter for this terrible ball handle.
Catching up on the changes for Los Angeles. Robert Sacramento checked in for King. Here comes in for Paul Gasol. And Wesley Johnson is sub for Nick Young. Sacramento dishes the boat. Johnson, he gets in the boat. Rejected by Collison. But they get it back. And J.J. Redick moves up the top. That is his first foul of the game.
Looked to me like the defender didn't get squared up and get his feet set.
Good work by the officials. A nice call. That play can be tough to judge sometimes.
Johnson outside. Hormone. And again, no good by the Lakers.
Well, most games he can knock it down from deep, but it just isn't there for him in this one.
And the call will be against Robert Sacre. That is his first foul of the game. And the basketball. On the arc. Offensive rebound. Collins kicks to Collison. Collins passes to Collins. Over Farmar. And it goes off the front of the rim.
You know, that mid-range jump shot is not his strong suit, even when he gets a good look like that.
He dishes it to Hill. Johnson, attacked by Mullins. Here are the Lakers. They're on a 15-5 run. Blake kicks to Farmer. Just 4 to shoot. Kicks it out to Johnson. Takes the three. And the rebound goes to Collison. Here's Collins. So the whistle blows on the shot with 2 free throws for the nine-shot right there.
Yeah, he got left. Shouldn't be much debate on that one.
Yeah, that was as straightforward as it gets, guys.
That one misses. Now Farmo. And then about puts it up to
Talay po. Ha?
Ha?
Ano?
Hindi ko alam eh.
Hindi ako nakapag-girl sa'yo. Oo, hindi.